Kellyanne Conway, counselor to President Trump, joins us on this Monday. Kellyanne, the president tweeted to the victims on Saturday saying, "May God be with them." How does the federal response to Florence look right now?
Well, it continues because we know that these hurricanes, after they wreak their initial devastation, then there is the necessity of providing millions of meals, millions of liters of water, rescue efforts, trying to get people out of their homes if they're still trapped there, obviously. And also, as the FEMA director, Brock Long, has noted, the rescue efforts continue for a very long time. We know that the devastation of hurricanes lasts for weeks, sometimes months, and that there's still flooding. And I think the president's almost ubiquitous activity on Twitter has been incredibly helpful because he has the most robust, considerable media platform probably in the world. And for him to be directing folks about resources and about what they should and should not do. Even this morning, in both Spanish and English, he was directing people about their pets, about evacuations, about the dangers of flooding. So we know that this takes an awful lot of time beyond the initial devastation, and the resources are there.
So on a political note, huge news yesterday. The anonymous person who was accusing Brett Kavanaugh in high school of sexual assault has put her name behind the action. She's come forward in a very detailed article in the Washington Post. Her name is Christine Blasley Ford, and she's now a professor in the Palo Alto area. And she said that this is exactly what happened with Brett Kavanaugh, then in high school, and a friend of his. What do you think this does for his nomination process? What questions do you have?
Well, this woman should not be insulted, and she should not be ignored. I think the Senate is headed to a reasonable approach in that it seems to me, and speaking to a few senators, including Senator Lindsey Graham, that allowing this woman to be heard in sworn testimony, allowing Judge Kavanaugh to be heard in sworn testimony about these specific allegations would be added to the very considerable mountain of evidence and considerations that folks will have when they weigh whether or not to vote for Judge Kavanaugh to be on the Supreme Court. So let me make very clear, I've spoken with the president, I've spoken with Senator Graham and others. This woman will be heard. She's going to, I think the Senate Judiciary Committee will decide how and through which forum. In other words, will it be by telephone, will it be in person? And but remember, too, that has to be weighed against what we've already know, which is that Judge Kavanaugh is a man of character and integrity who has been through 6 FBI vettings, which I can tell you firsthand are significant and thorough. He also has been lauded by women from every different aspect of his life. And this is significant. This is very significant for a man of character and integrity to be spoken about so highly by women who maybe didn't vote for President Trump, maybe don't call themselves Republicans, certainly. In fact, many who don't. But women who went to Yale with him, women who were taught with him at Harvard, his many female law clerks, the mothers of the young girls that he coaches in basketball here in a Washington, D.C. suburb. This is important, the 65 women who knew him in high school. But let me make very clear again, for those who just want to slice and dice what's being said today on behalf of the president, this woman should not be ignored and should not be insulted. She should be heard. Now, let's make very clear, those Democratic senators had no interest in the mountain of evidence about Judge Kavanaugh's character and integrity. They had no interest in that whatsoever. One female senator spent most of the time talking instead of asking him questions. Another female senator lied about his characterization of a legal case and abortifacients. And we all know that Cory Booker restrained himself, I guess, with humility. He didn't call himself Jesus, but referred to himself as Spartacus. So they weren't interested in Judge Kavanaugh's significant record and his character integrity as testified to by many women. Also, there are private phone calls that happen with judicial candidates, and that happened with Judge Kavanaugh as well. That would have been the time for Senator Feinstein to have posed to him a sensitive matter such as this, and it sounds like she failed to do that.
You have a problem with the timing.
This woman asked for anonymity, and it sounds like the chain of trust and chain of custody of that request was through the Democrats, and somebody breached that with her. And you had members of the media showing up. It's the Republicans, along with the Democrats right now, who are at least trying to give her a say in this.
Kellyanne, this has just been released that her attorney is now saying she is willing to testify before the Senate Judiciary Committee. Will that happen?
Well, the Senate Judiciary Committee members that I've spoken to say let that happen, but it should not unduly delay the vote on Judge Kavanaugh, who has given 24 or 32 hours of testimony by him and by others. And also, there were 1,300 written questions. This never came up. Those private phone calls, the private meetings. Judge Kavanaugh has met with 65 U.S. senators, and we all know there were some who just couldn't find the time to do their jobs to advise and consent the President of the United States on his Supreme Court pick. I started this segment out by saying she should testify under oath. The Senate Judiciary Committee looks like they are headed that way. Judge Kavanaugh, who has categorically denied these allegations, will also have an opportunity to address them under oath.
Wow.
And let that be part of what everybody considers before they cast a vote.
Right.
And let's not fool ourselves. Remember, folks, that long before this happened, there were Democrats who said they would not vote for Judge Kavanaugh, and they wouldn't vote for anybody that President Trump nominated to the Supreme Court. Let's remember that.
All right. Real quick exit question. You say, while she should testify, at the same time you say they should still vote on Thursday.
Well, that's up to the Senate Judiciary Committee, and we respect the process that they put in place. Everything else is going on. And those calling for a delay in the vote, we're saying so, number one, absent her testimony and his testimony as to these allegations, these 36-year-old allegations. And number two, they were saying that because they're going to vote against him no matter what.
And Brett Kavanaugh, has he talked to the president since this came out yesterday?
I can't reveal that. I've certainly talked to the president, and I wanted to reflect his opinion on this because I see a lot. We see a lot in the written press, but also on TV this morning with people who have no idea what they're talking about, have no access to the president or his thinking, pretending that they do, and trying to put this in the most negative light possible. So take what I said. She should not be ignored. She should not be insulted. She should be heard, but so should he. And it should be weighed as part of the considerable body of evidence that this man has about his character, integrity, judicial temperament, his exceptional qualifications, and many people who have many women in his life, right, left, and center ideologically, who have testified and said that. Thank you.
Let's see what the Senate Judiciary Committee does. Kellyanne, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.